wanted to give everyone another update on what's going on with Vasiliy Kravchuk at this point. Y'all know the story. The guy was accused. There was about a week of videos being put out about the guy. Now, we thought it culminated on Friday when a statement was released by the Bratstva, the Ukrainian Cheve, from the Rivne region. So essentially, the group of churches that Kravchuk belongs to, they released a statement saying that Kravchuk was found guilty, essentially. He admitted to his guilt in having done sins of a sexual nature, and he had been removed from ministry and excommunicated from the church, and that was that. The only problem is that now it seems like that wasn't the end of the story. So even on Friday, I started getting reports from people saying that he, or people close to him, were saying that he had not admitted guilt, he had not said that he'd done anything wrong, and that the whole thing posted online was a fabrication, it was a lie, the Bratstva never removed him, none of that happened. So at first I thought that was misinformation, and it was an effort on the part of Kravchuk and his supporters to, kind of push back and create their own narrative. The problem is that now it seems, I'm not sure what's going on now. So, and the reason I say that is because the statement that was put out on a website. The website seems to belong to this group of churches, but there's really no way to know for sure. There's an email that they gave in that statement that was put on the website. I emailed that email. I didn't get a response. Update this live stream to your... no response to that email address. The other thing there is the fact that when this type of statement is put out, it is usually in the form of an official letter with letterhead at the top saying who the letter is from, and it's got the names of the people who are authorizing this statement. So the signatories to that statement are, at the end of the letter, and their signatures. I've seen several of these types of letters put out by these various church organizations. Not that long ago, there was a situation in Oregon with New Life Missionary Church, and they had a whole scandal there, and there were some statements put out, and they had names and letterhead and signature. Here, we got nothing. So who were the people that put out this statement? We don't know. 1. 2, there has been no further response or no further communication from anyone from this Bratstva, right? So just this thing that got put on the internet, and that's it. No one's heard anything else. I asked a pastor in Ukraine, in this area, whether churches had received something more than just that statement that was put online, like an official letter, an official announcement. Apparently, no, they got nothing. So, yeah. The other thing that's interesting is the fact that I saw a letter that supposedly, again, the American and Canadian Cheveye, which is this Association of Pentecostal Churches, that they sent to the Ukrainian counterpart of this association. That letter, again, no letterhead, no signatures, no names, nothing. Just Episkopa of this group sending letters to Episkopa of this group. So Episkopos or presbyters or bishops, whatever term you want to use. So my question is, why are unnamed individuals from these organizations sending each other letters with no names or signatures attached. If what you were trying to do was to make people stop talking about the situation without getting personally involved, that's exactly what you would do, right? If you were looking to do the right thing, if you were looking to deal with the situation and make a hard line stance and decision on the situation, you would be putting names and signatures. Here, we don't have that. So we've got that. So now what's happening is the rumors are circulating that Kravchuk and his defenders are denying any of this happened. They're saying people have been paid off. They're saying it's all attacks of the devil. And I wouldn't be surprised if this results in some kind of division within the Pentecostal church. And honestly, in my opinion, it wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen to the church, because at this point, you've got the Pentecostal churches like the one that I came from, super normal, no weirdness, no forced confessions, no, forced head coverings, no forced speaking in tongues, more or less. At least, as far as I know, they didn't tell anyone that they would go to hell if they didn't speak in tongues. So there's that. So you've got these Pentecostals who are in association with the other kind of Pentecostals, the Kravchuk defending type of Pentecostals. And how long can those two groups coexist? And do they want to coexist? Is that beneficial for them? I don't know that it is. So we might be looking at some kind of split happening. But in the end, this is all church politics, right? At this point, this is just this association, this group, this pastor, and this statement, but it's all politics. Still, no one has put out any sort of victim hotline. Still, no one has provided any sort of resources for victims. Nobody has really said that we believe victims. So in terms of any sort of care for any victims of Kravchuk, there's been no mention of that, whether from the group that would defend Kravchuk or the group that believes Kravchuk did all these things. I haven't really seen any sort of coherent response from them. And so, sadly, it seems that now we are in a position where the only hope we have for justice and for things to come to light and for the right thing to be done, which is for an abuser of children to be locked up, is the world, right? The secular system, the civil magistrate, not the church, the cops, the police, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, whoever else is going to be involved. That's our only hope. And so we are so worried about the reputation of the church. We're so worried about what the world is going to think about us. But what does it come down to in the end? It comes down to the fact that the church, it seems like every indicator is pointing to the fact that the church is either protecting Kravchuk outright or at least trying to bury the story and make it go away. And the world is trying to do the right thing and protect future victims from this man. How did we get to a place like that? I don't know. It's sad. It's disappointing. I wish that it wasn't the case. I mean, I guess, we'll talk about it for as long as there are things coming out. I also heard from one person today that the FBI may not actually have a case open against Kravchuk. I don't, again, these are things I have not personally verified, but that is what at least one credible person told me, is that the FBI does not have an open investigation into Kravchuk. I don't know if any of the civil organizations in Ukraine are involved. Kravchuk has been in the news now there in Ukraine, and so at least the news are reporting on it at this point, right? The news are talking about it, so it's too late to try to keep the cat in the bag. It's out. But yeah, we might see maybe the EPA will get involved, like Simeon is saying. Maybe they're going to save us. So that's pretty much all I got on Kravchuk. Honestly, the church response, as always, has been completely disappointing, completely inadequate, and yeah, just once again, the church shows what it always does. Buries its head in the sand, those that aren't involved, and those that are involved try to do everything they can to cover things up. I'm still looking into the situation with the massage therapist. The weird thing going on with the massage therapist is now people are sending me information about various massage therapists. So not even the same one, apparently, or massagers. I wouldn't call them therapists, but apparently there are multiple people coming from overseas to the United States to rub Slavic Christians here in America. I don't understand how, why, what is going, how can a group of people that is so worried about any sort of lust of the flesh and lust of the eyes, right, that we enforce very strict dress codes and separation between males and females and all kinds of things, right? We're also the community that's okay with random ministers from overseas coming over here, rubbing people up, and then leaving. So I'm still looking into it. If you have any information, let me know about it. But honestly, I'm also a little bit worried that it might be pointless, because if we have a situation where we have dozens of victims come out with credible accusations against a man spanning 30 years, and that isn't enough to get anything done, what's the point? You know, a dozen different people tell me that this massage guy molested them. And then what? What am I supposed to do? So, do I just tell every single person? Do I still put out these stories and then just tell people report these crimes to the authorities and hope that the authorities do something, because obviously the church will not? That's kind of where I am at this point. Very disappointed and curious to see how this all ends, but thank you all for your time. That's all I have for you this evening.